This video is all about colors. You'll learn how to pick them using the cool feature called Adobe Color Themes, where you'll be able to select swatches that are generated by other users or create your own. You'll also learn about the Swatches panel and how to navigate through that. And you'll also learn how I like to paint my characters using both the Swatches panel and the eyedropper tool. So let's start to color our character. All right, we can now start to color our character. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to turn off my sketch layer here so I can just see my outlines. How I usually want to start is selecting some sort of color palette. So I have my character already here, and if you saw from the process video of me drawing this thing, you saw me using probably the Swatches panel with a whole heap of different palettes that I was using. Usually I like to set my colors before I get into the coloring a character. That way I'm not spending a lot of time guessing what to do. I'm just kind of picking colors and see what works. So let's do a really quick crash on how I would go about selecting the color. And I'm assuming you are just starting out here. So if I was starting out, the place I would go to is in Windows and down here to Color Themes. And when you select that, you need an internet connection to access this. But once you get into here, you can get into the Adobe Color Themes, and sometimes it opens with Create. If you're in Create, just come over here to Explore. And Explore gives you all these user-generated and other generated preset palettes that you can choose from. I used to spend a lot of time making my own color palettes, and I still do, but every now and then I'm just like, I just want to get in here and try something new and need inspiration. This is a great place to go through it. You can search, you can put a keyword such as retro, or you can put something that says like Facebook, and it'll give you like the Facebook colors. Here's like Macintosh 1984. So you could go crazy. And when you find one you like, or you can just search by popular themes. No themes found. I must have selected the wrong one. Most popular. Okay, so once you pick one, so let's just say I like this one called Flat UI. I hit these 3 dots and I can add it to my swatches. Let's go over here. And Honeypot looks pretty cool. I'm going to just add it to the swatches. And I usually get a couple of them. I don't usually find one that I like all the colors. Usually I like a color here, 3 there, and then I'll mix and match. And then, so once we've done that, go to Windows. So pick a few, go through and pick a few, explore, come down to Window, Axis Swatches, and here is our painting palette, so to speak. So here we have all these the 2 different swatches we just did. If I hover over it, you see Flat UI, which we chose here. And then if we hover over this one, we'll see Honeypot, which we got from here. So those are already, since I sent them to my swatches, and they are ready for us to use. I'm going to go ahead and close this so we can see better. Up above, I already have a pre-selected palette of the colors that I took from this creature here. So we're already good to go. So I'm going to focus with these colors, which I'm pretty happy with, and I'm going to color this new character over here based on this palette here. Okay, so I'm in my selection key. I'm going to click and drag areas. You'll see me doing that a lot to select specific groups. So I'm going to color the head part. So I'm going to move my swatch here, about right here, so you can see compare and contrast. And I'm going to use this color here for the skin or the color of the head. All right, and so once I got that, you'll see I'm already missing some of these eyes. Well, the reason is that these eyes for some reason got put behind, because remember we pasted in the back a few times when creating them. They got put behind this object. So I'm going to select the head again, and then I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Send to the back. I'm not going to go backwards one step. I'm going to go to the very, very back. Okay, there we go. So I sent this to the back, and these are now visible because they were just hidden behind it. Okay, So let's continue our work. Let's go ahead, and here is another quick tip. So let's say I don't have this character here to reference. I'm going to come over here to this tool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tools down, and select, click and hold, and select rectangle. Then I'm going to make just a rectangle here, and I'm going to fill it with a color I'm using. I'm going to go to my selection tool. I'm going to go to Option. I'm going to click it, hold Option and Shift so it just drops right below. And then I'm going to hit Command D to duplicate that a few times, as many times as I need. And then I'm going to take this box and I'm going to fill it with this first color. I'm going to take this box, fill it with the second color, third, all the way down until we have all these colors already from our palette. They're now on our artboard. So I'm ready to use these. The other thing last thing I'm gonna want to do is I'm gonna go ahead and click and drag and select them all. I'm gonna come over here. If you remember how to change the stroke, I'm gonna select the stroke and I'm gonna change it to this dark brown here that we have. Select that. And it gave it a dark brown outline. I'm going to click here just to check. Actually, I'm wrong. Let's go ahead, select it, select them all, select the stroke, and let's use the lighter brown. Okay. So the reason is, I'm just going to click and drag everything. I have, for the most part, this dark brown outline to help my character pop. So I'm just going to click and drag my entire character, and the first thing I'm going to do is change the outline color from the magenta to now the brown that we use. Okay, so that's preset. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and select this eyedropper tool. So the cool thing about this eyedropper tool is that if I hit Command, I go back to the selection key, I can toggle to that, I can select an area I want to color. Now that I have done all this busy work here, and just hover and click, and it's going to sample that color and apply it to this object that I'm selecting. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to choose the same color. I'm going to come over here, select this piece of hair and choose this orange here. I'm going to come over here and choose this green here. So right away, it's starting to come together much quicker. The only problem is these need to go to the back. So I'm going to select these two here and I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Send to the back. Okay, there is a faster way to doing it. Let's just demonstrate that. I'm going to hit Shift. I'm going to select this piece of hair, that piece of hair, and I'm going to press Command, Shift, and left bracket, and it's going to send these objects to the back. I want this one to be behind this one, so I'm going to hit Command, Shift, left bracket to send it to the back. And then I'm going to do the same over here. I'm going to select this outside one. If I hit Command bracket, it just sends it back one place between whichever object it's next to. So there's an order to all these objects, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This was like, these were in the very back, so there's only one object in front of it, which was this one. And so when I press back once, it sent it back one time, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's continue on. Let's not spend too much time dwelling on it. I'm going to go ahead and select the legs, and I could select them both actually. And select this color here, then Command, Shift, left bracket, send them to the back. Then I'm going to select the arms here. I'm going to hold Shift and Command so I can select both these arms. Then toggle back to my eyedropper tool. Then Command, Shift, left bracket, send it to the back. Okay, here's where things might get a little bit tricky. I'm going to select this part here. I'm going to color these. And this is where we might be finagling some of these options. So I'm quickly coloring now. So if I'm getting ahead of you, that's all right. Over here, I've lost this one. This one's in front of the other object. So I'm going to hit Command, left bracket. I'm not going to send it to the very back. I'm just going to toggle back a few times. Hopefully, it will go back. If it takes too long, you get Command, Shift, left bracket, send it to the very back, and then Command, right bracket to bring it forward. There we go. That's good. Okay, that seemed to work out better. Okay, so then we can go back to coloring these. Okay, so already we found this one's in front of the other one, so I'm going to toggle it, but we need to go behind the chin. So I'm going to hit Command, Shift, left bracket, send it to the back, then Command, right bracket, bring it forward, and keep pressing it until it comes in front of there, but still in the back of the chin. Okay, then we have this one here. And let's just give it this color. Let's send it to the back, Command, Shift, left bracket, then Command, right bracket as many times until it starts to appear. There it goes. Didn't take that many. All right. Now we just need to arrange this. So I'm going to toggle to my selection tool, select it, hold the shift, hold the shift until we get all three pieces, then Command, Shift, left bracket, send all the way to the back. And then I could then select the body, which is in front of it, and then do the same. So I'm just clicking and dragging over these three, the arms and the legs, then Command, Shift, left bracket, and I sent those to the back. So now those are in the very back. Okay, so with the body all colored in, let's go ahead and focus on the head. So the first thing I want to do is do the mouth. Select the mouth and press I to get my eyedropper tool, and let's just sample this light brown. Now let's move to the nose area. Press Command to toggle to the selection key. Select the nose, select the same dark brown. Now let's do the eyes. And let's do the outer frame first. Select that. Top frame. Release Command to toggle back to the eyedropper tool. Get the light yellow. And right away we could see that this is in front of the inner frame. So let's Command left bracket. There we go. All we do is click it once and it went in behind this. And now let's deal with this pupil, because if you remember correctly, I held the Option key when I did the intersect, and the reason I did that was to preserve the shape. This one was completely clipped off, so if we moved it, we would see where it was clipped off. This one, it maintained its entire shape, it's just masked. So if I get my direct selection tool by selecting A or clicking it up there, and holding the Option key and selecting this pupil, I can tap it up a few times, and you can see it's still there. It's not clipped off. So the whole pupil is still there. So I'm just going to give it a couple tips up. I'm going to go to the direct selection tool, select the object. Then over here, if your Pathfinder is not open, just go to Window, Pathfinder to bring it back open. You should see this expand. I'm going to expand it, and I'm committing to clipping it off at this point. That way I can access this because it was blocking this shape earlier. Okay, so let's do the same thing to this pupil. Let's go ahead and select the direct selection tool. Click anywhere off your artboard to deselect everything. Then click it and then hold the Option key and click it again, and then click the arrow up a couple times to match the height of this one. And when you got them looking good, just go ahead and get your regular selection tool, select the pupil. Should select both the pupil and the frame. Over here in Pathfinder, hit expand, and now you've committed to that clip. So now we can color everything in here. So I'm going to go ahead and select this inner frame and select that color here, this peachy color. And then I'm going to go to the pupil and select the lighter brown. Same thing over here. I'm going to select the outer frame. And I could even sample from here if I wanted. You can see how I took that color. That's a quick way to do it. Now it's in front of this inner frame, so I'm going to hit Command, left bracket, or Object, Arrange, Send to the back. We're just going back one step, and that's all we needed to do. If we went all the way, we said send to the back, send backwards is what I'm doing. So we did Object, Arrange, Send backwards. We left Shift out of it because we only wanted to go back one step. If we went all the way to the very back, we'd be behind the head and the hair, and then that becomes kind of hard to find it. You can do it, but you can find it. Okay, so let's press I to go to our eyedropper tool. I'm going to hit Command to toggle the selection tool. Select the inner frame, and let's finish coloring off our eyeball. There we go. We're all set. We got the majority of the colors in. If I look at them side by side, they look somewhat similar. There's some differences. I added some eyebrows, some shading in the mouth, and then I even add some details. I changed the nose and the feet. So in the next video, we'll add those finishing touches.